They didn't choose you by accident. There was no luck involved. No coincidence. You weren't just available. You weren't just there. You were selected. Specifically. Deliberately. And the qualities they selected you for? They're not your weaknesses. They're the best parts of you. In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why you were targeted. 6 specific qualities that made you the ideal person for a narcissist to attach to. Not so you feel worse. So you finally understand that being chosen by someone like that was never a reflection of your damage. It was a reflection of your depth. Reason 1, you actually listen. Most people don't listen. They wait to talk. You listen. Really listen. When someone tells you something, you remember it. You follow up on it later. You ask how it went. You pay attention to the details, to what people say, and also to what they don't say. This is rare. And narcissists know it immediately. Here's what happens in the first weeks. They tell you something personal, something that sounds vulnerable. And you, because that's how you are, you actually receive it. You take it seriously. You check in later. You remember. And they feel something they very rarely feel. Like someone actually sees them. That feeling hooks them. Not because they've found connection, but because they've found someone who will do the work of showing up, paying attention, and maintaining the emotional labor of the relationship entirely on their own. You weren't chosen because you were naive. You were chosen because you are genuinely present with people. In a world full of distracted, half-listening humans, you actually show up. That quality is not a flaw. It's what makes you someone worth knowing. It's just not something that should have been given to someone who only planned to extract it. Reason 2, you give people the benefit of the doubt. When someone does something that hurts you, your first instinct is not to retaliate. It's to understand. Maybe they were having a bad day. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. Maybe there's something going on that you don't know about. This is not weakness. This is emotional intelligence. But for a narcissist, it is an open door. Because every time they crossed a line, every time they said something cruel, or disappeared, or did something that should have ended things, you gave them a reason. Not because you're stupid, because you're fair. You apply to other people the same generosity you would want applied to yourself. The problem is that generosity, applied consistently to someone who never intends to change, becomes the mechanism that keeps you in the cycle. They crossed the line. You explained it away. They crossed it again. You gave them another chance. And each time they learned, this person's limits are negotiable. Your instinct to give people the benefit of the doubt is one of the most important things you can offer in a healthy relationship. It just should never have been offered infinitely to someone who was counting on it. Reason 3. You have a high tolerance for discomfort. You are not the kind of person who makes a scene. When things get uncomfortable, your default is not to escalate, it's to manage, to hold it together, to get through it. You've probably been doing this for a long time, long before this relationship. Maybe you grew up in an environment where you learned to read the room before you spoke, where you learned that your discomfort was less important than keeping things calm. Or maybe you've just always been someone who doesn't want to cause a problem. Either way, you can tolerate a lot before you reach your breaking point. Narcissists identify this quickly. They test it. Small things at first. A comment that goes too far. A plan that gets canceled without apology. A silence that lasts longer than it should. And they watch. Are you going to say something? Are you going to leave? Most of the time, you don't. Because it's not a big deal. Because you can handle it. Because you don't want to make things worse. And they note it. And they push a little further next time. Your ability to tolerate discomfort is not a character flaw. It's resilience. It's also something that can be used against you by someone who is specifically looking for how far they can go. Reason 4. You're deeply loyal. Once you decide someone matters to you, you don't give up on them easily. You stay. You try. You give more chances than you probably should. Not because you don't see what's happening, but because loyalty to you means something real. It means you don't walk away the moment things get hard. This is one of the most admirable things about you. It is also the exact thing a narcissist needs in order to operate. Because here's what a narcissist requires. Someone who will not leave when the mask slips. Every person who has been in a relationship with a narcissist knows the moment when the person they thought they knew disappeared and something else appeared in their place. Most people, the first time they see that, start to move toward the exit. You didn't, because that's not how you are. You thought, I've seen the good in them. I know who they really are underneath this. I'm not going to abandon someone when they're struggling. That reasoning is not naive. In a healthy relationship, that reasoning is exactly right. But applied to someone who has no real version underneath the behavior, who is the behavior your loyalty, becomes the thing that keeps you inside a cycle that was never going to change. Your loyalty was not the problem. Who received it was. Reason 5. You're highly empathetic. You feel things deeply, including other people's things. When someone is in pain near you, you feel it, not just intellectually in your body. When someone is struggling, your instinct is not to step back. It's to step forward, to help, to carry some of what they're carrying. This is not a small thing. The world needs people like you. But empathy, strong, genuine empathy, is the quality narcissists are most drawn to. Here's why. A narcissist creates pain constantly, and the empathetic person around them absorbs that pain, processes it, rationalizes it, carries it, rather than reflecting it back, which means the narcissist never has to feel the weight of what they're doing. You process it for them. You excuse it. You explain it. You hold space for why they are the way they are. And you do this because you genuinely care. Because empathy is not something you perform, it's something you live. But empathy given to someone who does not have the capacity to receive it, who will only use it as a resource, slowly empties you. Not because you gave too much, because you gave it in the wrong direction, for too long, to someone who was drawing from a well they never intended to fill back up. Your empathy is not the problem. It is one of the most valuable things about you. It just should have had limits. And it should have been given to people who were capable of returning it. Reason 6. You believe people can change. This one is important. Because it's connected to hope. You don't believe people are fixed. You believe that with the right circumstances, the right support, the right relationship, people can grow, can choose differently, can become more than what they've been. This is not a delusion. For most people it's true, and it's why you stayed through the bad moments, why you held on through the cycles, why every time things got slightly better you thought, this is it. This is the change I knew was coming. Narcissists understand, whether consciously or not, that the person who believes in change will keep trying long after someone else would have stopped. They offer you just enough warmth after the cold, just enough softness after the cruelty, just enough of the person you fell in love with to make the next cycle feel like the exception, not the rule. And you held on. Because you believe in people. That belief is not the reason things didn't work. The reason things didn't work is that you were holding that belief about someone who wasn't holding anything about you. Believing people can change is not naive. Believing it about someone who has shown you repeatedly, over time, that they choose not to, is the only place where that belief stops serving you. 6 reasons. You listen. You give people the benefit of the doubt. You tolerate discomfort without escalating. You are deeply loyal. You are highly empathetic. And you believe in people's capacity to change. Look at that list. That is not a list of someone's weaknesses. That is a list of someone's character. Every single quality on that list in the context of a healthy, reciprocal relationship is exactly what makes someone extraordinary to be with. The difference between a strength and a vulnerability is not the quality itself. It's whether the person on the receiving end of it is capable of honoring it. You were not targeted because you were broken. You were targeted because you were whole. And someone who cannot build their own wholeness will always look for someone else's to take from. Which of these 6 landed hardest? Drop the number in the comments. Just the number. Because the moment you name the specific quality that was used against you, you stop experiencing it as a flaw. And you start protecting it instead. Subscribe to the mirror effect. The clearer you see, the freer